record button. People may be popping in as we go along. So welcome, I'm Edwin Rutch, Director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy, or we're calling it the Empathy Center now, which is behind me. And this is our sort of an open house introduction to the Empathy Center. So anyone from the world can come, just connect with us, hear about the center, ask any questions, see how they might become involved. It's also where we practice the empathy circle practice, which is the easiest or most effective first step gateway practice, I find, for empathy, developing empathy skills and way of being. And it's also an introduction to the training. We have an empathy circle facilitation training, and part of that is you take part in 2 empathy circles, and you can take the training. We actually have some trainings coming up at the center September 16th and 17th. So Sean, since you're in Santa Barbara, you're welcome to join those. And so what we're going to do is just go around, have introductions, have each person introduce themselves, your name, your location, why you're here, and then we'll explain how the empathy circle works, and then we'll just do the practice for maybe about an hour, a little bit over an hour, and then we'll just have an open discussion as well, and then and a little debrief, and then we'll close. So to begin the introductions, I'm Edwin Rutch. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area right now. This is where I've lived for 30 years, but moving to the Santa Barbara area, to the Empathy Center behind me, and I'll be going down there tomorrow for a week. And I just find that empathy is like the most important foundational practice just for human well-being, and just trying to promote that value of empathy as widely as possible. So Bob, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you, Edwin. I'm Bob Brown. I live in Thousand Oaks, California. And I agree with Edwin that empathy is the glue that can bring all 8 billion of us together as one happy family. So it's a treat to be part of this and to help me hone my empathy skills and make bonds with friends. Thanks.
Thanks, Bob. Bill?
Yeah, my name is Bill Filler. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've been involved with Edwin doing online and trainings and in person, going to demonstrations for about 6 years now. Really love the process and happy to spread it. Thanks.
And when you say going to demonstrations, we have an empathy tent that we take out to places where there's conflicts. We offer listening and conflict mediation, which is just giving a little bit of context. Cecilia?
I'm Cecilia Imam. I am currently living in Norman, Oklahoma, and I have done the empathy tent here at the art walks several years ago. When you guys started with it, but of course since the lockdown nothing happened anymore, even though now the weekly or the monthly art walk is starting up again. So let's see what's possible there. Empathy is for me my search of my whole life already. The emotions that come with it, especially the energies that run through your body, and where is that moment of empathy? Where is it? And that's a delightful search, and I love working on that and helping people to see it and to feel it. Yeah.
And you're a trainer, you do all kinds of workshops as well on this. Larry? You're muted. Maybe we lost his, he's having some trouble with his camera. Sean, we'll come back to Larry.
Hey, everybody. I was just chatting with Edwin and Bob before everyone else hopped on. My name is Sean. I live here in Santa Barbara. I work at a nonprofit, but I volunteer at Yoga Soup, and they have authentic relating games there. And I'm in some local circles where we practice nonviolent communication. And so just want to continue the practice of empathy for my relationship with myself and my relationship with other people.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Looks like we lost Larry. He'll probably come back once he gets his computer working. So what we want to do now is go, yeah, Bob?
I forgot to say I need to leave at 11, so I apologize for not being here for the whole morning.
Okay, that's fine. So we want to go into the empathy circle. We're just going to explain the process, mainly for Sean. So the empathy circle, we use active listening and the process. So there's Jenna coming in. The process is one person is the speaker, and we have a topic, which I'm going to post in here, is what is your, into the chat, what is your vision for an empathy-based retreat center in Santa Barbara, California? And how might you like to be involved, or whatever's on your mind? So share any kind of questions, comments. So the first person is the speaker. They're going to select someone to speak to. You share an idea or two, which is usually about 30 to 45 seconds. You pause and you get a reflection from the listener, the person you selected to listen to you, and they just share their understanding of what you said. It's just basic active listening. You check, did they understand me? Did they understand me enough? If so, you continue sharing. If they didn't understand, you just can restate it and maybe other words, you get another reflection until you feel heard to your satisfaction. You share, someone will be keeping time. We're going to have 4-minute turns. I don't know if anybody has a watch to do the timekeeping. Bob does. So you can, at any point, if you don't have anything else to say, you can say, I feel fully heard, or something like that, to indicate that you don't have, your turn is up. You just, and then it passes over to the listener to become the speaker. They select their listener, and then the process repeats, and we'll be doing that for a little bit over an hour, sort of this process. Any other part that I missed? I always forget something. Bill, anything to add to?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. It's a simple process. You'll see how it works. Everybody here is familiar except Sean, maybe hasn't done it before. Yeah, Bob?
When the 4 minutes are up, I'll raise the time sign.
Yeah, right. So when the time, your 4 minutes is up, you can just finish your thought, get your final reflection, and then whoever was the listener becomes the speaker. So with that, I'll be just the first listener if someone wants to start. And again, the question is, what is your vision for an empathy-based retreat center in Santa Barbara? And how might you like to be involved, or just anything that's on your mind? Yeah, Bob, I'm listening.
I'm enthralled this week with the J. Robert Oppenheimer phenomenon. I'm reading the book. It's a long, wonderful book, and we're supposed to go see the movie this afternoon. And the model of a nuclear fission process is fascinating to me because I think it connects to my humanness.
Yes, I'm hearing that you're enthralled with the Oppenheimer story, I guess the book and the movie, and it really relates. It really relates to the explosion part of it. Something about that is meaningful to you.
Because I believe at the heart of who I am, there's a nucleus, and it's a divine nucleus, and it emits energy.
And it's something about a nucleus. It's like a metaphor of how you see yourself, this divine nucleus that's giving off energy.
And what is the difficulty is we human beings are very good at covering up this divine energy with selfishness. And for me, empathy is the antidote to selfishness.
So you see that people cover up this divine quality, and that the empathy is and it's covered with selfishness, and the empathy is a way of getting past that.
Yes. And so what I'm trying to be aware of, be conscious of, is this this divine energy inside me that I need to get out of the way of, so that empathy and love and fellowship and human kindness can spread around the world. So I'm anxious to go see the film and see if my metaphor works.
So you have that metaphor of the explosion, the energy, the divine quality kind of radiating out. And you're going to see if now, if you watch it, if that your metaphor of that kind of really fits.
And
So
it's
maybe
a
some
non-violent,
curiosity.
it's a non-violent explosion, very gentle, very kind, very healing.
So you see that radiant being radiant, sort of not being violent. It's non-violent.
Edwin, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay, I'll speak to Cecilia.
I'll be happy to listen.
Yeah, I'm glad Sean is here, and he has background in NVC and authentic relating. So glad he came to check out the space.
So you're really pleased with Sean being here, and because especially he has his background of NVC, and yeah.
And we've been wanting to. We have a library a room at the center, which is just behind my shoulder here. You know, what we'd like to do is, it has a carpet that's kind of dirty, needs vacuuming, not vacuuming, but shampooing. And I think that room is ready for like community groups to meet there. And we'd like to just offer that to community groups for free for the rest of the year, just to have groups come up and use the space, and as a way of getting to know different, groups and introduce them to the space.
So you want to share that you have already a room ready actually for people to come and share the space. However, it has a dirty carpet and maybe the community could help to clean that up.
Yeah, that I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking.
What I think.
If Sean wants to come up and bring some friends and help clean up that room, his authentic relating group or NVC group are welcome to use it.
Yeah, it's really an authentic group, and also that you then say it's generously offered for free for people to use. So.
Yeah, it had previously been used for, 12-step programs had been using it. The previous owners had used this, were renovating the space to make it a drug treatment center. But to keep your conditional use permit, you have to use it ongoing. And I think they allowed some groups to meet there to kind of, so that the conditional use permit could stay active, which is the community permit of how the space can be used.
So actually it's part of a bigger community, and also 12-step program has been held in there, but it is wanted to be continuously to be used.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I wonder about the carpet too, because it's pretty dirty. I'm not sure if the dirt will come out with the shampooing, so and if we just can't get the carpet cleaned, I think we'd put in maybe some glue down vinyl, put in a new floor or something. Yeah.
Yeah, the carpet may be very dirty, and maybe because of all those groups that have been there, and if you cannot clean it, you would choose vinyl too. Yeah.
And it is a library, so it's all Catholic books. All the walls are covered with, the previous seminary, they had all these Catholic books. So there's a bunch of books in there too.
So it's all Catholic or religious books mostly in the library that are present and taking up that space as well.
Yeah, but it has beautiful views of Rattlesnake Canyon. So there's a canyon right next, and you just look out the windows, big windows, and you just have a beautiful view.
So there's also a beautiful view over the canyons, and that's an extra for that room.
Yeah, and we're also looking at starting to hold workshops too. We have some other rooms, and I think we're ready to start holding day-long workshops if people want to hold those. And we have 2 workshops coming up in September what are free. One is for facilitating empathy circles, so people can learn to facilitate these circles. And then we're doing another one with another group as well following Saturday. So Sean's welcome to those.
So Sean is welcome to join already scheduled sessions that you have in the other rooms to learn and to get to know each other.
Yeah, I feel heard. Thanks, Cecilia.
Okay, thank you. Jenna, would you like to listen to me?
Sure.
Yes. Whenever there is anything about empathy, my heart perks up. So I do not have a vision for the center, but I'm thrilled that this big initiative is going on. So that is what I support in my heart.
So you're thrilled by anything empathy, and you don't have a vision for the center, but you're really happy that this thing is going on and you support it in your heart.
Yes, yeah. And anything that I can think with you guys, I'll be happy to brainstorm or think about things.
And you'll be happy to brainstorm and think about anything related to the center.
I'm far away, so I'm not really physical there, but I would love to have scheduled meetings like these.
And you are far away, but you would be happy to participate in more scheduled meetings like these.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, how would I see myself further than that? Involved is with seeing where I can fill in a gap in all the empathy trainings that are already going to be given.
And you're going to try to see where you might fill in some gap in all of what's already happening, all these different empathy trainings that are happening.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to the 2nd and 9th September, when we hear all kind of modules and classes, what is all already ready to be given.
So you're really excited to hear about the Empathy Summit on the upcoming Empathy Summit or summits on September 2nd and September 9th, to hear from all these different trainers and how they might be involved in offering all these different classes.
Yeah. And the last thing is that I think indeed empathy is something that we will need in the coming decades tremendously. And especially because there's a lot of changes coming up, and if we do not, if we stick to our upsets, then we don't get anywhere.
And you think that there's going to be a huge need for empathy in the coming decades, and that if we don't, that we really need to prepare ourselves, because if we just stick to the way that we have our normal upsets and the way we deal with things, that we won't be prepared for what's needed.
Thank you so much. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Bill, would you like to listen to me?
Yeah, happily, sure.
Well, I haven't been here in a long time.
So you haven't been here in a long time?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I'm very happy to be
here. I feel quite torn. I actually had a flight already scheduled, booked, paid for the 16th, 17th of September.
So you're kind of conflicted because you had planned to be here for the training on the 16th and 17th.
Yeah, and just after I bought the ticket, like several days after I bought the ticket, I got this email of this Tibetan Lama who's coming to New York City.
So just after you purchased the ticket, you got information that a Tibetan Lama is visiting New York City.
Yeah, it's a very rare visit.
Very rare visit.
I have a very high Lama.
And a very high Lama.
Yeah, so I called up to inquire, but I actually uttered the word cancel, so she canceled the ticket. And I have sent a request to one of my teachers to just let her know and ask her I said, people can manage without me here and people can manage without me there. So where should I be?
So you were asking your contact just basically whether you should be in Santa Barbara or New York at that time.
Yeah, it's very, but anyway, it has me brainstorming more about what I might contribute to the center and how I could come out there for another weekend because I have paid for a flight.
Yeah. So made you think about what other things you can do if you stayed in New York. You come out to Santa Barbara at another time because you already paid for a flight.
And so I sent an email about the 16 guidelines. I can offer a 16 guidelines workshop, which is a 12-hour workshop. And I was thinking about how to combine that with empathy circles, which Larry and I have been doing anyway since January.
So you're thinking about one of the things you might offer is the 16 guidelines. And you've been doing some work, and you also and Larry have been doing that and combining that with empathy circles since January. And that might be something you might offer there.
Yeah, and it looks like Larry's going to have a very long life because I just mentioned him.
Oh, so Larry's going to have a long life because you mentioned him and he showed up.
Yeah. So yeah, this is all really, I mean, I'm in New York, I'm not in Santa Barbara, and that's basically why I haven't been coming, because it's hard for me to kind of relate or connect to something that's, it's far away.
Yeah, so you're in New York, and so in discussions of Santa Barbara, it's far away, so it's hard for you to really kind of relate to it.
Yeah, anyway, I feel heard. Thank you.
Sure, okay. All right, Sean, would you listen to me?
I will do my best.
Okay, that's all I can ask. First of all, I've got to get this off my chest. I don't know you, so I'm joking around and stuff like that. But you look like the winner of the Timothy Oliphant lookalike contest.
Wow. So you've got to get this off your chest and joking around. But I look like the winner of the Timothy Oliphant lookalike contest.
Yeah, I know. It just came up. So thank you. I've cleansed my palate. So I processed that. So I'm really excited about the 16th and 17th training because I believe that in person you can bring in more of theater games.
Yeah, and it sounds like you were grateful that you had your palate cleansed by expressing that, and you're looking forward to the 16th and 17th training in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, but and specifically because we can add some theater games in there, and that adds another. There are two things that does. It adds another level of interaction, and being a former teacher, it also gives you another way, a nonverbal way, to experience empathy.
Right. So specifically, the training is exciting for you because of the theater games. And with your experience teaching, the interaction is the secret sauce that really makes everything stick for students, it sounds like.
Yeah, when you were able to present a concept or give students an experience from several different perspectives, it reinforces the learning.
Right. So you're saying the learning is reinforced by looking at something from several different perspectives. And this was in the context of using theater, but there's also a bunch of different ways you can look at something to learn it, right?
Right. And yeah, and so I'm really excited about that, and also looking and excited about what might come from that after people have the experience.
Yeah, so it's not so much about just the training that's coming up in September, but what might come from that training afterwards based on that experience.
Right. And I'm also looking to come down and to plan a visit before then to check out the space. I've been there once before, but check out the space again and sort of, try to make preparations.
All right, so it sounds like before September, you have a visit planned to come and just see the space and make some preparations. And I think you also said you had already seen the space, but you were coming back to see it again.
Yeah, just to see what you know available, what progress has been made. And in ending, I'll just say there are two things I don't do windows and I don't steam carpets.
All right, so you're willing to do a lot of things, but not windows and not carpets.
Thank you, Sean. I feel fully heard. Appreciate it.
Has Larry, are you online? And
Let's see, is the sound working?
yeah,
Yay! Thank you.
sure. It seems like we're supposed to ask if you're willing to listen. Are you up for that?
Ready for that, Sean. Thank you.
All right. Like Cecilia, I don't have a well-defined vision for the Empathy Center at this point.
So I think you're saying that, like Cecilia, you don't have a well-defined, I think you said vision for the Empathy Center yet? I could have gotten that wrong.
Oh, that's it. And although I do have some dream personally of helping with a retreat center of some kind. It's just not well defined.
And you do have a dream of helping with a retreat center. It's just not well defined at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, it felt very synchronous to be going for a hike up in the foothills here and see a big sign that said that there was an empathy center. I'm just kind of going with the flow.
So it turns out you were just hiking in the hills and you saw this big sign about an empathy center, and so you're just kind of going with the flow. Here you are.
That's just it. And so as far as how I might be able to help, I am open to doing windows, unlike Bill. I have done some windows at the yoga studio downtown, and I'm up for doing other random chores and cleaning and stuff too.
And having participated in a yoga center, I think you said downtown, you've done windows and you've done lots of other activities, and you're open to doing those activities, unlike Bill.
Yeah, and I just enjoy building community and practicing these skills, and it would be great to learn how to facilitate these types of circles better as well.
And you enjoy building community, and you would love to enjoy, it sounds like, learning to do these facilitations of empathy circle trainings, something like that.
That is my whole the whole reason I'm here today, Larry. So thank you for listening to me. I feel heard.
Thank you, Sean. Bob, will you be my listener?
I'm listening.
Thank you kindly, Bob. Well, I've got a new camera.
You've got a new camera and you look great too.
And just as I was trying to get it to turn on, Zoom crashed.
Just as you got the camera turned on, Zoom crashed.
So, I didn't reboot the computer, but I logged back into Zoom and back into the room.
So rather than reboot the whole computer, you just logged back into Zoom and here you are.
5 times. I logged back in 5 times.
Logged in 5 times.
And I was not being admitted into the room, but, I have empathy, so I'm eternally persistent.
So as you tried 5 times to gain admittance and you were not admitted, with your empathy, you put up with it.
Yeah, I know that, true empathy is about what Carl Rogers called unconditional positive regard.
And you equate empathy with Carl Rogers' wonderful phrase, unconditional positive regard.
Right. And for me, that's the whole family of humankind and all of the sentient beings and all of the animals. It's all inclusive.
So this unconditional positive regard applies to all sentient beings, all animals, all creation.
Yeah, and I think we humans can make a big mistake if we think, well, no, this is just for people with blue eyes and blonde hair.
So we humans tend to make mistakes focusing in on certain attributes like blue eyes and blonde hair.
Yeah, yeah. Diversity in this life, I think, is a beautiful thing.
So one of the beautiful things about life is the diversity of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Unconditional positive regard.
Unconditional positive regard.
That to me is empathy.
That is empathy to you.
So I have gratitude for being included in the empathy circle today. And I'm so glad the camera works.
So you're very grateful that you're included today, and you're glad the camera works.
Thank you, Bob. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay. Jana, would you please listen to me?
Sure.
I was deeply involved in church stuff for about 20 years. And it's better for me to be deeply involved with the empathy movement.
So you're sharing that you were deeply involved with church stuff for 20 years, and you feel happier with the empathy circle. You feel better or better fit with the empathy circle movement.
Because in empathy, as Larry points out, it's unconditional positive regard. It's looking for the best in people. It's hoping to help bring out the best in people. And it's being welcome.
So with empathy, as Larry was pointing out, it's unconditional positive regard. It's looking for the best in people. It's welcoming everyone.
And as the empathy movement grows and grows, I'm wondering when conflict will arise and how we can handle conflict and resolve it and maintain the bonds of friendship in that.
And as this empathy movement grows, you're wondering where conflict will arise and how we can resolve it and how we can maintain the bonds of friendship moving through it.
And I am in awe of Edwin's involvement at the Empathy Center. I can't imagine anybody having $8 million and buying this thing and then saying, here it is, it's yours. Use it, make it grow.
So you're in awe of what Edwin's doing in the Empathy Center, and you can't imagine somebody having $8 million and just handing him a place and saying, here, make it grow, do what you want.
So the freedom of it and the spaciousness of it and the beauty of it, what a gift to the world. So
the freedom, the spaciousness, the beauty of the Empathy Center, what a gift to the world in Edwin's work and the creation of his brother and all the causes and conditions for it.
So I am just so grateful to be part of this and to be a member of this community and to see what I can do to help it move forward.
And you're very grateful to be part of this community and want to see whatever you can do to help it move forward.
Jenna, thank you very much. I feel fully heard.
Who hasn't heard me? Cecilia, Sean, you'd like to listen to me? Never.
Yep, I'm ready when you are.
Well, I appreciate what Bob has shared. Some things came up the first time he shared, and the second time he shared, I felt like it was kind of addressing my feeling of distance and remoteness here in New York City and not connecting with this Santa Barbara physical place so much.
Yeah, so you appreciated both of Bob's shares, particularly the second share about feeling distance or being remote from Santa Barbara.
well, I felt that it addressed what I had expressed earlier, like, and like his sharing of the value, like his just appreciation, the gratitude, the appreciation, the enthusiasm that he shared.
Right. So it wasn't just that he was remote or distant. It was that his expression of gratitude really resonated with you.
Yeah. And regarding the earlier share, you know, I've been studying with the Dalai Lama for a while, and so the divine is not described as a nucleus because, according to the Buddhists, there is no partless particle.
Okay, so in your studies with the Dalai Lama, I think you said the divine isn't really a nucleus necessarily because there's no partless particle.
Yeah, there's no ultimate particle.
Right. No, there's no partless particle or ultimate particle.
Yeah, the consciousness is non-matter.
And consciousness is not a physical matter-based thing.
Yeah, but the idea of it, you know, radiating out, I resonate with that. Resonates with me, let's say.
So in spite of your rebuttal to what he had shared earlier, the idea of it of something radiating outward, it does jive with how you and your studies with the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, and I haven't seen any Oppenheimer movie, but I saw Infinite Potential about the life of David Bohm, B-O-H-M. Bohm, I don't know.
Okay, so you also haven't seen the Oppenheimer movie yet, but there was a movie with David Bohm called Infinite Potential, which sounds related.
Yeah, and Oppenheimer is really a villain in the life of David Bohm.
Wow. Okay. So Oppenheimer is a villain in this other movie about the life of David Bohm, which, yeah, say more.
Yeah, so Infinite Potential, David Bohm, must see.
And the movie that you were just referring to is called Infinite Potential, and it's worth checking out.
Yeah, and I forgot we were recording here. That's it. Thanks so much. I feel heard.
Yeah. I hear that you forgot that we were recording, and of course, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing. Cecilia, would you like to practice?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I'm noticing as we're doing this practice that people tend to pause and create space for the other person to do the active listening.
So you really have felt it, that there was a pause, and that people do that on purpose to let the other person reflect them.
Right. And I'm also noticing it feels like a muscle, exercising a muscle when we're engaging in this practice of communicating.
And the other thing, it's really like feeling like a muscle that you practice by doing it this way.
Absolutely. It's been beautiful hearing everyone's shares today. There's been such a variety of perspectives. It's been refreshing and maybe different than expected.
You had not really expected this, but it is really refreshing that you hear so many different views and perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's on one hand, it's difficult to be on Zoom and on the computer. On the other hand, though, it's shedding a new light on. I know that there are other Zoom calls that I'm in with work where maybe I'm not as actively engaged or actively listening. And so it's kind of making me look at that differently.
Although you have different experiences when you do an online Zoom meeting compared to when you are in person with people, you now feel there's a different way to look at it.
Yeah, specifically, I think I've been disengaged in work meetings online like this, and there's a lot of room for improvement for me to be doing active listening.
Like in business meetings, you hold more back, but now you can see you can really do practice that being active and listening also in your business meetings.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel heard. Thank you very much, Cecilia.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Edwin, would you listen to me?
Think?
I have no clue what I'm going to say. That's funny.
You don't know what you're going to say?
Yeah, there's so much on all topics. Yeah, I was like Sean, also thrilled that on Zoom there's way more possible than I thought. I thought I never could do empathy online, you know.
So like Zoom, like Sean, you had thought that you just couldn't do much on Zoom, and it's like you're just seeing there's more empathy-based possibilities on Zoom.
Yeah, and of course, because of the lockdown, I had to move all my live trainings because, like Bill, I use a lot of theatrical exercises, and I thought I never can do that online, but it worked, and people who had both the experience with me live as well on Zoom said that they both felt the benefit in both ways. Yeah.
So with COVID, you had to actually go online, and you were sort of worried about that, but people said, hey, it worked. Both in person and online worked well.
Yeah. But I also can feel the frustration that Jana has to be that far away from this beautiful center that you would just want to be live there.
Yeah, you can feel that same frustration that you're going to be farther away from the center. And
yeah,
I think I didn't quite catch what the end part was.
Well, you want to be where the action is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So the
right?
empathy
Yeah.
center is where the action is, and you'd really like to be there in person.
Because I can feel the tremendous joy that could radiate from it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that you can just feel how the joy could be radiating from this new center.
Yeah. And on the other hand, I am asked also with two other projects, and one in Texas, where I just came from. It's really permaculture situation. And they would love for me to set up homeschooling and etc. And then from empathy view.
And you just came back from Texas. It sounds like there's this permaculture center being set up there, and they would like to work with you about doing homeschooling.
Right. And at the same time, I got a request from here in Edmond in Oklahoma City. They have a giant permaculture thing and want to start a school there as well. Yeah.
And there's another request around permaculture in Edmonton, and they want to start a permaculture school there too, and include you in that.
Yeah, and then a school for kids, you know, to learn in a different way than in the regular school education.
Oh, so it's like creating an alternative school for a different type of school.
Yeah, and of course that I did before. I have set up a school with my youngest son, based on what is your interest.
And you've done that, setting up a school where it's really about the students and they're following their interests. So you have experience with that.
Yeah. And it's kind of tearing me two ways. I love children. I mean, if a child is here, I move toward them. But I did so many businesses, and I said that last time already. All of a sudden, I'm in the business areas, and that is very rewarding too, because I have the man who is the business owner as a father. So I have the whole family and his business. Yeah.
So you're really torn between these, and you have even another sort of direction with the business, and you love students and education, and just feel really torn about, sounds like, which direction to go.
Yeah. So the beautiful thing of that, you asked what is the vision for the center. It has so many options.
And there's really a lot of options, and you just see just a lot of options for the center.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
I feel very-
Bill, can I speak to you?
Yep, listening.
Yeah, I'm going to put in some links to upcoming events. So I'm just going to put that in now if anybody wants to check that out. Those are some of the online and in-person events that are coming up.
Okay, so you're putting on the links to some events coming up online and both in person.
And yeah, what is coming up for me? Oh, there's one thing what comes up for me is like the empathy circle is a nice, I mean, I find it the most effective sort of first step process for empathy building, because everyone gets to be heard. Everyone gets to be heard to their satisfaction. There's a sense of equality to it in terms of time, versus meetings where somebody just controls the whole meeting. So it sets sort of the tone. It's an easy first step for creating sort of an empathic way of being.
So you wanted to frame the empathy circle in the panoply of trainings and everything else as a basic, very easy first step that really focuses on mutuality and giving people an entree into experiencing and expressing empathy.
Yeah, it's harder, like starting to manage a space. It's a sort of a business. It's also a vision. It's also a mission, a movement. We're really trying to create an empathy movement here, and so we want to do it in an empathic way because the means are the end. But there's people hiring, there's money being transferred and so forth. So that adds a whole nother level of complication to how do you create an empathic, approach?
Yeah, so the goal is to basically take the values of empathy and extend them to the center. However, the devil's in the details, and there's a whole bunch of very practical and physical things that need to be attended to. And so the question is justifying and harmonizing the two.
Yeah, and developing a community of practice that is also sort of exploring how to run a business, an organization, a nonprofit empathically. So there's a lot of sort of research and development needed for that. Even though there's a lot of talk, like in the different business magazines, about empathic management. I mean, doing it is another thing. It's hard. It's tough. Like people get disappointed and angry, conflicts like Bob is talking about.
Right. So you're adding another level of complexity here. So you have the empathy circle, very basic. You have the center where there are physical and concrete things that needs to be done. And beyond that, there's also how to run an organization empathically. There's a lot of things that business talks about empathic leadership, but there are a lot of conflicts and other things that, so there needs to be more study and an effort into creating empathic organizations.
Yeah, so systems and processes and practices and mindsets, all these different things need to come together to create that environment.
Yeah, so essentially there's a need to harmonize or make compatible systems both on the macro level and the micro level in terms of expressing empathy
and one of the first steps is I wrote up an agreement. So there's an agreement to take part in empathy circles, to have the intention of creating this empathy movement, and an agreement that if conflict comes up, that we take it into an empathy circle or a restorative empathy circle to work it out.
Right. So one of the things you did to address that issue is to have a written agreement about the goals of building a culture of empathy and And also, and I'm just blanked on the last thing. There's another little piece that I missed at the end, the very end. Sorry.
Yeah, just for conflict resolution that
Right,
we
for conflict resolution.
use the empathy circle or empathic practices for conflict resolution and mediation. Yeah.
And mediation.
Yeah, I feel heard. Thanks. Fully heard.
Okay. All right. Larry, would you listen to me?
Ready, Bill?
Thanks. Yeah, it's this whole leadership style and how we express empathy in the organization is something that's occupied me lately.
So, Bill, I'm hearing you say that you're preoccupied with how to express empathy within the organization lately.
Right. And what I was, you know, in my job as a special education teacher, again, we dealt with a lot of crisis, physical outbursts, and all sorts of other crises.
And in your job as a special education teacher, you dealt with a lot of crisis with physical outbursts, I think you said?
Yes. Yes, that was correct, Larry. Yeah. And so what I, you know, and so you would have to, I would have to ask my assistants or something to do things that sometimes were very, very difficult to do, things you wouldn't ask a person on the street, like to handle a physically volatile student, or to clean up a bathroom, or to do, or, you know, make a call, well, to Child Protective Services.
So it sounds like you're challenged by having to ask people to do things like cleaning up a mess or something like that, or intervene with a child, or to make a phone call to child care or protective services. It was an uncomfortable thing to ask people to do that.
Yeah, well, it was the kind of thing that, yeah. So what I tried to do is establish a goal as the authority. Much like Edwin said, the goal is to create a culture of empathy. In my classroom, the goal was to prioritize the safety and well-being and the educational goals of the student.
I'm hearing you say that what you tried to do was set up the priority of authority, I think you said, and much like what Edwin does, and something about keeping everyone safe. Safety is a priority.
So the goals of the student were the authority.
So the goals of the student were the authority?
Right. And we all agreed to try to achieve that. And within that framework, we had a lot of flexibility to achieve that in any way we could.
And you had a lot of flexibility to achieve the goals of the student any way you could.
Right. So we wanted to cross-train so that everybody knew what everybody else was doing. So, for instance, if I were handling a crisis with a student and a parent came in, my assistant really had the perspective and the context to explain what was going on.
So you wanted everyone to be cross-trained so that if you were handling an interaction with a student and their parent walked in, you wanted your assistant to be able to explain what you were doing.
Right. Or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
Right.
In other words, if your assistant were interacting with a student and a parent walked in, you would be able to explain what it is that's really going on.
Exactly. You know, and be transparent. It was not spin. We would take, if that were to happen and a parent would come, the parent was fully free to observe the interaction.
And if that happened, the parent was fully free to transparently observe the interaction, something like that.
Yeah. Thanks. My time's up. I feel fully heard. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, Bob is going to be leaving, and does somebody else want to take over the timekeeping?
I'll do it. Sure.
We can go for another 10, 15 minutes and then just open it up for discussion.
Okay. So 4 minutes?
4 minutes.
Okay, I'm on it. Okay, so Larry,
Okay. Jana, will you be my listener?
Sure.
Thank you, Janet. Well, I wanted to announce that I'm really, really, really enjoying the 16 guidelines.
So you're sharing that you're really, 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 really enjoying the 16 guidelines.
Yeah, and I think it makes a great combination with empathy circles.
And you think it makes a really great combination with empathy circles.
And if anyone's not familiar with the 16 guidelines, they're in summary universal human values.
So if people are not familiar with the 16 guidelines, you're sharing that in summary, they're universal human values.
And they're universal values that are timeless. They're constant.
And they're universal values that are timeless and constant.
And I'm probably going to get this next part incorrectly.
And you think you're going to get the next part incorrect.
From my understanding, these were transferred from India in about 700 AD to Tibet.
So you think that these were transferred from India to Tibet in around 700 AD.
With the intention of bringing peace to Tibet.
With the intention of bringing peace to Tibet.
And I think it's a noble intention to bring peace to any part of the blue planet and every part.
And you think it's a wonderful intention to bring peace to the blue planet and to anyone.
Yes. And it seems like we've been working on it for thousands of years.
And it seems like we've been working on it for thousands of years. I suggest I close the window. Do you hear the music? My neighbor's music?
Barely. It's not really disturbing. It sounds kind of peaceful. So I love empathy circles.
So you think that my neighbor's music is peaceful and you love empathy circles?
Yeah. I am so grateful that it's kind of like the candle of empathy is lit or lighted within each of us.
And you find that the candle of empathy is lit in each of us.
And it's paradoxical that we need someone else to show their candle before we're willing to show our candle.
And it's paradoxical that we need someone else to show their candle before we're willing to show our candle.
Yeah. And I think that the California Empathy Center will be that, I'll call it, lighthouse.
And you're viewing the California Empathy Center as the lighthouse.
Right. And that bright light will give permission to everyone to shine their empathy light passionately.
And that divine light, I think you said, will help everyone shine their empathy light infinitely.
Thank you, Jenna. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Let's see. Edwin, would you like to listen to me?
Listening.
Yeah, I put those links in the chat again because Larry, I think, wasn't here when I posted them.
You're putting some links into the chat because Larry wasn't here, so you'd like him to see it?
Yeah, and I was going to share about conflict, but Bob's not here, but still I'll share for all of us.
And you're wanting to address Bob's concerns about conflict?
Yeah. Can I close the window? It's a little...
Yeah, go ahead. You want to close the windows to reduce the noise?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you feel better now that you got that closed?
Yeah, it's quite loud. Yeah, so kind of the next step for the empathy movement is empathy circles for conflict resolution.
And you see a next step for the empathy movement is to use empathy circles to address conflict.
Yeah, and I had the great privilege of having some conflict.
And you were lucky that you did have some conflict.
Yeah, so I appealed to the fellow trainers in the empathy circle movement to help with a conflict resolution circle. And I got this amazing response, like just so many people showed up.
Yeah, you put out a call for help with a conflict within the facilitator community. Just a bunch of people showed up to help out.
Yeah, it was really great. I mean, I got more response than actually needed.
So you got more support and response than you actually needed. So it's just like great to have all that support.
Yeah, we had three trainers and myself and this other individual.
And it sounds like you had an empathy circle with the person you were in conflict with and 3 trainers.
Yeah, and Bill and Larry were there and Linda was there.
Bill, Larry, and Linda were there as trainers.
Yeah, and it was really beautiful. It was a beautiful circle. Conflict is such a rich topic for an empathy circle.
Yeah, so actually conflict is really great for empathy circles because it's just such a rich experience.
Yeah, I would suggest that if we added a piece about conflict resolution to the empathy circle facilitator training, it wouldn't be role modeling.
And you're suggesting holding some module for conflict resolution and not do role modeling.
Well, if there was a separate module, then it could include role modeling. But if it was just tacked on to the empathy circle facilitator training, then I would just suggest having the topic of conflict for as an empathy circle.
So just the topic of conflict could be done as a gateway topic for the empathy circle.
It was so beautiful. The sharing, everyone shared, all 5 of us shared about conflict and how we view conflict in relation to empathy and dialogue and conflict resolution. It was wonderful.
It was just you just felt it was just beautiful that everyone sharing about their thoughts and experiences about conflict, and just found it very meaningful.
Yeah, and Linda's not here. I don't know. She was really great. She said, you know, you got to put the fish on the table, otherwise it smells.
Yeah, you got to put it all there on the table, the fish, or they're going to start stinking up the place. Yeah,
my apologies to fish, and I feel fully heard.
Yeah, you want to apologize to any fish who might be insulted by that. So I'll speak to Sean.
Listen.
Yeah, we'd love to get your email address just to stay in contact, and I can put mine in and hope you can come up and visit.
Well, I hear that you'd like to get my email address, and you'd be willing to offer yours as well, so that I could come up there and visit.
Yeah, so this Thursday, Bob is coming up, so that might be a good time. And there's somebody coming up Wednesday afternoon. We don't know the time there, but you could kind of combine it there, or just come up on your own too.
Yeah, you're saying possibly Wednesday or Thursday afternoon would be good if we want to combine it, or it could just be another time independently.
And yeah, really looking forward to getting more community groups. I wonder about the yoga center that you talked about, because I think I walked past there with someone else who does some sort of workshops there. So seems to be a sort of a meeting space in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, you're curious about the yoga center because someone else you knew or was doing workshops there, and it seems to be a meeting space in Santa Barbara.
And I had heard that it's hard to find spaces in Santa Barbara, so I'm not sure if that's accurate. So I'm hoping that this, maybe the library having that available would be a space for different groups to come up.
Right. You've heard that in Santa Barbara, space can be hard to come by, and you're hopeful that the library space there could provide some of that.
And we had a sort of a meet and greet the Sunday before last. We had about 26 people up, kind of gave a tour, and then we did empathy circles. And that seemed to work really well. So I'm thinking of that, maybe setting up sort of a community meet and greet. We give a little bit of a tour, and then we do the empathy circle, give just a short talk, and so it create more of a systematic way, regular way for community members to come up and connect with us.
Right. It sounds like there was a meet and greet a couple of weeks ago, and we could do another meet and greet. And it's nice because you do get to meet and greet and do an empathy circle, but it's also kind of it translates well into just building community, it sounds like.
And a lot of the people that came up wanted to volunteer in a sort of a wide variety of ways, but it's hard to know how to integrate, to sort of organize that volunteer effort. So that's something I got to get better at. It's a lot to sort of manage volunteers, and so I think that maybe like, hey, let's have a volunteer group come up to fix up the library for general meetings. It might be sort of an event, because then people who are helping out can actually use the space.
Yeah, it sounds like it's great on one hand that there are people willing to volunteer, and then on the other hand, it requires coordination, and you're thinking maybe we can somehow orchestrate that to have people get together to work on the space.
And there's a lot of other spaces there too. There's 2 basketball courts, a huge gym that's we can kind of make available, and so yeah, there's just a lot of different resources, a lot of different spaces. There's kind of one wing kind of that's behind me that's been renovated, so we just need to do interior design, and then what's behind my shoulder is going to need more serious architectural redesign and renovation.
Yeah, it sounds like there are multiple basketball courts. There's a wing that might just need kind of light design work, and then there's a area behind you that it sounds like it needs full on renovation.
Yeah, I feel heard.
Thank you. I'm not clear at this point what the count is. Is there anybody who hasn't listened for a third time? Maybe Bill?
Sure. Oh, Cecilia, you were.
I could, but I think I listened already to you, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm listening.
Okay, or Larry. Larry, would you like to listen again since you joined sort of late?
Happy to, Sean.
Okay, Bill, I'll practice with Larry, and I'm noticing that I'm excited for a space where there isn't necessarily like it's not a business. It's not motivated by profit.
So, Sean, I'm hearing you're excited about this idea of a space that's not motivated by profit.
Right. Yeah, because oftentimes people that have a desire to facilitate circles are doing it for money.
Because oftentimes people who are facilitating something like circles are really motivated by doing it for money.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, there are organic circles that I have amongst friends, but those can be difficult to keep people engaged with. They aren't as structured.
And there are some organic circles that you have with friends, but these can be challenging to maintain motivation to keep things organized and keep things going, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like this could be a good middle ground where there's structure and yet it's done in a way where it's not done in a selfish way. It's done in an empathetic way.
So this sounds like, other than doing something of a motivation out of selfishness, this could be an empathic motivation that's kind of sounds like altruistic or for the benefit of all, something like that.
I think you said it better than me. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm noticing right now. And unrelated, I'm going to play board games after this with friends, and I think it's going to be funny transitioning from the empathy circle to playing board games.
So I think you said you're going to be transitioning after the empathy circle to playing, I think you said board games?
Correct. Yeah. And so yeah, I just think that'll be funny, and then maybe in the afternoon I'll make it up into the foothills to go for a hike and get outside. So maybe I'll find myself near the empathy center.
So it'll be interesting to watch this transition from the empathy circle into playing board games. And maybe in the afternoon, you'll get up into the foothills and take a hike and take a look at the empathy center, I think you said.
Possibly coming full circle.
And coming full circle, possibly.
Thank you. I feel heard.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, shall we just open it up to discussion for a little bit before we close? Just any sort of questions or comments, without active listening. I will mention that my brother purchased the property, asked me to manage it for the empathy center. His goal is to break even, so he does want to kind of have a break even. And he's willing to put in, money for the renovations. We're going to have to eventually find sources for the empathy center to, stay sort of financially viable, especially when we start, hiring people. So, and hopefully we can get, donations, grants, and so forth as well. So that's the whole financial kind of aspect of it.
Thanks for mentioning that, Edwin. I work full-time for a nonprofit, and I find that at least it's nice with a nonprofit because at least the guiding principle or the purpose of it is the top priority, and everything else kind of serves that, as opposed to it being flipped around the other way, right? Where it's so I understand. Yeah, you're just trying to keep it sustainable and fulfill the purpose.
Yeah, the mission is we're setting up a 501c3 educational charity. So it's behind the mission is through education, community initiatives to foster a more empathic society, or to raise the level of empathy within society. And it's an open, the empathy is sort of the core part, but it's open to any kind of workshops, everything from mindfulness, yoga, I thought authentic relating, NVC, community, whatever, so it's an open sort of a platform for sports, whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's for instance, I organize a meetup in town for the Python programming language.
Oh,
but sometimes we have talks on different languages, and we're inclusive. So we have some guidelines, but it's not strict. So I think
you mean the Python programming language?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to give a talk on a different language, we're open to that. Just like you're saying with the center, you're open to a lot of things that aren't strictly mandated.
Well, something that relates there is we also want to do design, so human-centered design, and sort of all the different design practices. If you're familiar with human-centered design, user experience design, especially with the IDEO design school model at Stanford, it's that empathy is the foundational first step for designing any product or service. So we would like to hold, design-based workshops here as well. So if you have connection with the UX or user experience community, we'd love to have them come up, do some workshops and stuff like that too.
I hear you. Yeah, I'm sure there's a meetup group in town that's focused on user experience and user interface design.
Okay, any other thoughts, questions? Celia, I see something there.
Yeah, I made so many notes. I also of course, the conflict is a big one for me, and conflict resolution. And my specialty is to really bring up the mastermind and really focus there and think through one specific conflict area, so that can clear it up, and then the next, and then the next. So because mostly there's so many angles involved that we lose track, and we say that, and we say that, and we say that. So that is one thing that I call it the mastermind, bringing up the mastermind in the conflict resolution to really focus, laser focused, being busy. The other thing is, how to work in a barter system or in a knowledge share. How do we do that, and how can we recreate even that financial system? Is there an empathic angle that we really need to take on, because we want to do good for each other, we want to help each other? How does that translate in unfortunately, we still have the money system running, but how could we do that in a different way? So that is by itself delightful to have circles about and focus on that one, see if we can come up with something for that. Structure dictates the behavior. How you structure everything dictates behavior. I did a long sessions with the businessman in how to fire an employee, how to do that in an empathic way. What are the steps for that? And in a way that both have insights and both grow, as well the employer as the employee. How can you do that? And that was one of my bit peeves too. So I love to work with that a little bit deeper. Let me see, what did I have here? The hiring, firing, values versus needs. That is in conflict also very important. You have your need to do your carpet, and a value for a person who does that. Yeah, I work so hard for you, So how can we see it as a both need, also a need for them to clean that carpet? Can we match it? Can we make it a need, or should it be two values? I want to have class in a clean room. That's a value. Do you want to have then help clean the carpet? So be clear in what angle you're asking of people to help with. And if that matches either the value or the need, then there's no bad feeling. So that's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just add what came up was you talked about permaculture. We do also want to set up a permaculture center, find someone to sort of manage that, to do a live work. So anyway, just because you mentioned the permaculture, a little bit different from what you're talking about, but I want to just throw that in.
Well, I hope you do gardens.
Yeah, we want to have all gardens, fruit trees, really like to terrace some of the hills here, put in ornamentals as well as fruit trees and just vegetables and so forth, and set up a gardening center or a permaculture center. We have the gym, which is off camera here, and right next to it's a big flat area where we wanted to set up place for the gardens and,
Wow.
you know, for the greenhouse and things like that, and then find someone that has background in permaculture that could sort of manage that and develop the trainings and programs around permaculture.
Yeah.
So just that you'd mentioned that,
Mhm.
and yeah, and all those things you're talking about is you know, how to hear the feelings and needs of people and try to match. I think what you're saying is match those up in terms of our intentions, and is a way of moving forward with our, you know, processes.
Mhm.
Anyone
just
else? Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to mention, I put in the link to the, I have, Sean mentioned games, so I have an empathy circle game using theater games. It's customizable, and it's either everyone wins or no one wins.
Ooh.
So it's a different type of sort of premise, and feel free to riff or to ask about it. So, and it's all free. You can download it, print it out, and play it.
Yeah, Larry.
I just had the thought. I'm wondering if the state of California, you know, being so green, would help to put in solar panels. And there's a lot of rooftop there, a lot of sunshine, and I'm envisioning these industrial kitchen being able to bake something like sourdough bread that you share with the community and invite people in to have you know, organic dinners, potluck dinners, and sourdough bread, and all of it powered by solar power. That's just my share. I love the empathy circles. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just mention that there is the kitchen. That's something we're needing. If we're looking for maybe a chef or a catering company that would want to use the kitchen and sort of bring it up to speed, you know, to kind of bring it up to code that they could use it for their catering, and then also cook for, you know, for any, you know, for the staff or any event. So if you know of any caterers, Sean, in the area, we're sort of looking for kind of connecting, you know, around how to use the kitchen. I don't know if you've been up there, but the kitchen it's a serious, you know, big kitchen, and people are always like quite impressed with how extensive it is.
Yeah, I'll keep my ears open. And I wish I was the permaculture expert. I would love to learn more about permaculture. I'm sure everything will fall into place. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we've come to a close. Any final sort of comments? Oh, John, can we get your email? Can you put that
Sure,
in the
yeah, I can
chat,
put it
and
in
then
there.
I can add you to our list, and then we can stay in contact. We do hold these every Saturday, so you're welcome to come back again, bring some friends. It's an easy way for the community, anyone, to connect with us and learn more about the whole process of what we're doing, our intentions, and see how they can get involved. Okay, let me see. Just gonna check to make sure. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me just copy that before we close.
Sorry.
And so, okay, well, we'd like to end then with our, let's add do around, like, how was the empathy circle process for you? I just say, I always enjoy the empathy circle because, like I say, it's the minimal process I find for doing empathy. It kind of sets the tone, and then you can kind of let go of it. And if there's conflict, you can always come back. So I just really enjoy this process. Phil, how was it for you today?
Really enjoyable. It's great to meet you, Sean, and get new people involved, and also great to see old friends like Bob and Cecilia, and of course the rest of you who I've been in contact with. So just to have thank you.
Thanks. Cecilia, how was it for you?
Yeah, like in the beginning, I said I've no clue what we're doing here, and then there's so many topics. So yeah, delightful and to hear everybody. Yeah.
And
Very
Larry, how was it for you today?
I love empathy circles. I find that they relax our amygdala and open our prefrontal cortex. So we have imagination opened up for getting insights. And I just love the empathy circle process. I think we could kind of, this is going to sound far-fetched, but we could literally spread peace on earth by having empathic conversations in every conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Sean?
The empathy circle today for me was similar to meditation, where when I meditate, I have some space from my thoughts. And then when I come out of meditation, I'm more aware of my thoughts. And so it's interesting being in an empathy circle, listening intentionally, and then coming out of it and kind of dropping back into normal conversation. And you can almost really feel it feels weird to go back to talking normally. And that's kind of, that's what I'm noticing right now. And so it was a nice, it was a great experience practicing with all of you today, and nice change from the norm.
Thanks, Sean. Jana, how is the circle? You kind of dropped
No,
out for a little bit. But...
I'm sorry, I got unplugged. So I just want to say about Sravasti Abbey that they're raising like, I don't know, $1 million, 2 million, I don't know, for this huge hall. So it's a model worth looking at. You can raise millions with the generosity model. And they're demonstrating that it's possible. So I just wanted to say, in terms of covering costs, that it might actually be easier with a generosity model. And the conflict resolution I put in the chat, an offering, but I won't say it now, it's too long. And yeah, so I'm happy that I showed up. I postponed the breakfast lunch for 2 hours, and I'm happy that I did it. So
good. Do you want to stay on a little bit later, because you had some proposal for a workshop that
Sure.
didn't quite understand that we could maybe talk about it after?
Sure.
Okay. Well, we'd like to end with some jazz hands. So thanks everyone for joining us. See you next week or in one of the other many circles that we hold. So bye for now.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.